Okay.
starting. And I'm here today with Juliana Taimoorazy of the Iraqi Christian Relief Council. You can find her work at the Iraqi Christian Relief.org website. And she has an amazing background, which maybe we can get into a little bit today. Her having been born and raised an Assyrian who lived in Iran for some time and was spirited away out of the country by her folks, who went through a lot of trouble to try to smuggle her into the West. So she's a person who I believe represents the true spirit of America and the refugees. And what she's done since coming to North America is to turn around and turn her love into a cause that helps other people. She provides relief for refugees, Iraqi Christians. Could you tell us about some of the work, this amazing work that you do from your heart? It truly is your purpose.
It truly is my purpose. Yes. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Wes. I was raised in Iran as an Assyrian, and a lot of viewers may not know who the Assyrians are. Just a brief note about who we are. The Assyrians are in the Old Testament. Those who have read the Bible, they know the Assyrian Empire was really at its glory all the way from northwestern Iran all the way to Egypt for about 300 years. And we really, in Mesopotamia, Mesopotamians, the land between rivers, gave the world civilization that we have today. And but unfortunately, the Assyrian Empire, Nineveh, which is today's Mosul in Iraq, fell 6 centuries before Christ. And we Assyrians, since then, have been living in the mercy of our overlords in the region. We converted to Christianity through St. Thomas the Apostle. So we have been Christians and we've paid a heavy price for being Christians. My own story, the reason I was smuggled out of Iran because I was harassed for my Christian faith, for my belief, for my ethnicity. I've lived in the United States for 30 years. As you said, I'm a proud American citizen. To me, America is the best country in the world. It has given me the opportunities that I have today. If I had stayed in Iran, I wouldn't have been able to serve the Assyrian people in Iraq, which is my homeland, really, who have been devastated in the hands of Al Qaeda and then ISIS in 2014. So this is, in short, my story, and then we can get into in detail the work that I do.
Yes, and many Americans often don't realize that the nation of Nineveh and these people are not simply a work of a biblical work, something out of the past. It's a 3,000-year-old civilization of people with a very proud history, who are based, who know where they're coming from, and who live in minority communities in areas of Iran, today in Iraq, and parts of there's two more nations that have significant numbers of your people. What are the other two?
So southern Turkey is also our homeland that has been taken away from us.
Mhm.
Syria, northeastern Syria is also the ancestral homeland for us. But a lot of Assyrians also live in Lebanon.
Mhm.
They're citizens of Lebanon, not just as refugees. Unfortunately, I would liken the Assyrian nation to a beautiful crystal bowl that has been dropped and has been shattered into pieces, and we really are spread in four corners of the world. But because I'm a an optimist in general, given the current circumstances, I try to hold on to my optimism. I believe that gives us the opportunity to really talk to everyone in four corners of the world about who we are. But unfortunately, something very serious we're faced with in the West. We are being assimilated and we're losing our ethnicity. We're holding on to our faith, but we're losing our culture, our tradition, our Aramaic Assyrian language.
Mhm.
And in the East, we're being killed for that faith and for our Assyrian heritage.
It's really a devastating thing, and you are a person who is woven into that quilt, which is the United States of America, and you're a participant. It would be wonderful if you can keep and maintain the traditions of your people, the language particularly. I'm interested in linguistics. So for me, I'd like to see Aramaic continue. I think that that's a language that goes straight back to Christ. So yeah, you mentioned that your people come from the cradle of civilization. You know, between the Euphrates and right there in the basket where civilizations came from. So we need to remember our past in order to know where we're going. And in light of, yeah, what happened yesterday in Beirut that might be of particular concern to your ministry now? And I believe you mentioned that you're going to be involved with helping to provide some relief to Christian refugees in the Middle East right now.
Yes.
And,
So my ministry, Iraqi Christian Relief Council, is 13 years old. We have been serving the community um, since 2007. And in 2015, because of ISIS invasion of northern Iraq, we also expanded into serving the community in Turkey, Lebanon, and Jordan, because at the time there were hundreds of thousands that had fled to these three countries. Today, we have about 40,000 people left in those three countries that I just mentioned. So we serve inside Iraq for anything that they need, whether it's food, whether it's fixing their homes after ISIS devastation, whether it's creating jobs for them, providing education. That is the type of work that we do, sustainable work inside Iraq. Recently, we did a lot of work for COVID assistance because they are just so devastated with COVID as a country. The Assyrians, there are very few of them that have contracted the disease inside Iraq, but the country as a whole has been brought to its knees. Now in Lebanon, the community is about 5 to 6,000 Iraqi Christian refugees. Now these people are Assyrians, also known as Chaldean and Syriac, depending on which Christian denomination they follow. So the community there is about 5 to 6,000 refugees. And the partners that I work with, I reached out to them immediately after the blast, and they were devastated. One of them, my one partner that I worked through, her three nieces were working in the center of the city in Beirut.
oh,
And if one sister did not pull the other sister out of harm's way, the ceiling had collapsed. It was collapsing over her head, and the ceiling fell, but they just pulled her out of they saved her really. My other partner, who is a 22-year-old young lady, she is a refugee herself. And she and the priest she works with have made a makeshift school for the Christian refugees from Iraq because they're not really, not many kids are being educated. God saved her life. She had been in school about a couple of hours before the blast, and the school is just less than 1 kilometer away from the blast. And then, not only that, she also took one of the kids to the hospital, and they left the hospital 1 hour before the blast. And if she had stayed in that hospital with that child, she would have been killed because a lot of people in that hospital were killed. So now our community thus far, thank God, we don't have any who have been killed, but many have been injured. And these are already devastated people. These
mm,
people have already lost everything in Iraq to ISIS invasion.
oh,
These people were professionals. They were doctors, lawyers, engineers. But now they're living really in terrible, terrible conditions to begin with in Lebanon and also Turkey and Jordan. But in this case, the small quarters that they were living in, whether it was a very small apartment with two, three families living there together, or many of them have been living in the storefront, literally in a storefront place with two rooms where bathroom is the same as the kitchen. If we can even
oh,
imagine that here in the United States,
uh-huh,
even those small living quarters that they were living in, and they were barely paying for it, they are blown out.
uh-huh.
The windows are blown out, the doors are gone, the ceilings have caved in. So my ministry, IraqiChristianRelief.org, you can learn more about it, or on Facebook, Iraqi Christian Relief Council has started a campaign called Relief for Beirut. So hashtag relief number 4 Beirut.
Hashtag relief number 4 for Beirut. Relief for Beirut.
Relief for Beirut, yes.
What we'd like to do, of course, is provide links below this video to all of your preferred social media. You can be found on Facebook. You can be found with an email address, and of course, the main way people can reach your ministry is again IraqChristianRelief.org.
Iraqi.
Iraqi with an I. I did not write that down correctly. Pardon me. So there's many ways to get in touch with your ministry and many ways to help support your ministry. In terms of these school kids that don't have an education right now, is there some preferred amount that people can make as to donate to sponsor a student, perhaps, or how can they help support these Christian students who don't have any schools to attend now? What's an amount that?
So
Yeah.
there is a program that we have that is really the umbrella for relief for Beirut. It's called I Adopt a Refugee. I'll describe briefly what a refugee life is like. A person who escaped ISIS in 2014, they've gone to one of these 3 countries, and about 40,000 of them are still stuck there. Many of them are not even recognized officially by the United Nations as a refugee. So they are stuck as asylum seekers. They're not illegal in these countries, but they're asylum seekers, which means they're not allowed to work. United Nations does not give them any help. The governments are, as we know, Jordan is a poor country, Lebanon is in crisis, and Turkey is dealing with its own challenges.
Right.
So they're not even being helped by the government. So a lot of that falls on our shoulders. An average life expense for a refugee, depending on the country, but on average is easily about $500 a month. What we do with hashtag I Adopt a Refugee program, we enable our donors to give either on a monthly basis or a one-time donation. We accept anything that can come, that people can make sacrifices and donate. If a person donates $100 a month, that goes towards their rent. It doesn't pay their entire rent, but it goes towards their rent or it goes towards their food, which on average, people, the basic food they can have is about $100 a month in these 3 countries.
Mm-hmm.
Basic food, not even nutritious, just
Mm-hmm.
very basic food.
Mm-hmm.
Or some people use it as medical for medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So on our website, when you go to IraqiChristianRelief.org, you will see the option to adopt a refugee family. And then in turn, what we offer the donors is a once a month connection with the families that they've adopted. We can do a conference call with them. We can do a Zoom call, a video call. So the donor in the United States is directly connected with these refugee families in these 3 countries. That's our refugee work. And we really, Wes, we are in desperate need thus far. We've been able to adopt over 70 families, but there are about 10,000 families that are in need, especially now in Lebanon.
That's just amazing. I mean, you're bringing tears to my eyes, and it's a blessing to have my heart softened with the tales of what these refugees are suffering under in the Middle East. It's tremendous work you're doing, and what an underserved population to be true refugees and not be recognized even by the United Nations High Commission on Refugees as refugees. Our community is filled with some people who drive some very expensive cars and have the latest cell phone. And so let me not go there, but perhaps that's a conversation for another time. But I know that I don't have an iPhone 11. So,
Neither do I. But really, you bring up a really good point because this refugee program, if we break it down, it's only $3.33 a day. That's less than a Starbucks coffee, really.
Starbucks, right.
I think we can sacrifice to show our solidarity with our fellow Christians. And one thing that I've repeatedly have heard for in 13 years of service. The Iraqi Christians always say, what can we do for the Americans? How can we pray for them? Because we know the persecution will come to their doorstep, will come to their shores. In turn, we will be there for them. So, and when COVID broke here, many of my um, uh, aid workers in these countries, they reached out to me and they said, what is your ministry doing for Americans? Because Americans have stood with us for the last 13 years. What are you doing to give back to America? And that was encouraging for me to be able to give masks to underprivileged and to the frontliners in Chicago, to the Americans that have, we've been devastated by COVID. So
You
whether it's
donated
made
from,
political or,
yes.
yeah,
It was a gift back to the community
exactly,
that the ministry
exactly.
made. So
But that's what they approached me with. They said, from across the seas, from across, the pond, they said, is your ministry doing something to give back to America? And of course, we rose to the occasion. So I think even though they are so many thousands of miles away, our hearts should be with them as their hearts are with us always.
mm, that's a tremendous message, and it's a message of hope. It's beautiful. You're making this purpose in the world. Thank you. And can I ask you? I can't quite read what your necklace says. I was trying to make it out. Is it Kamara? Ka,
No, it's
no.
it's the Syriac. It's in the Assyrian language, the
Oh,
Syriac script. It says Nineveh. We write right to left, and
yeah.
it says Nineveh. And a lot of people
Nineveh.
believe that's my name. People who don't know me, they say, "Oh, is that your name?" But it's not. I wear this in the honor of my homeland, Nineveh. And Nineveh is today's Mosul, and Nineveh is where Jonah in the Old Testament went and preached to my people. I'm a Ninevite. The people that I'm reaching out to you to seek help for are Ninevites, children of the same Ninevites that that turned to the Hebrew God through Jonah.
Tremendous. So, Miss, of course, we're going to include all the links to your social media, preferred ways that people can reach you below the video. So, if they feel moved to investigate your work further and become more involved as volunteers or make a donation, as you mentioned, for $3 a day, it's less expensive than a cup of Starbucks coffee, and it won't give you acid indigestion either. No stomach problems. You'll rest well. So, thank you very much. And is there any final message you want to leave us with today, or should we say goodbye? I know you have a really busy schedule today. You're going to be doing a lot of other things. And
Thank you
anything?
for your time, Wes. Yes, thank you so much for your time. I apologize. It's a short interview, but there's much, much to say. Maybe you'll have me on again if your
I hope
audience wants me
so.
back. But I think my message would be that although our United States of America has its own challenges, although the brother is pinned against brother nowadays, we must realize that how blessed we are to be living in the United States of America. With all of our challenges, with all of our imperfections, we still, I believe, we are the best country in the world, and this is why millions and millions of people are lining up to enter this land, whether illegally, whether through legal means, like we did, like my family and I, and hundreds of thousands, millions of others have done in the past. Um, this is really the best country in the world, and may God bless it, and may God bless all of your viewers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I hope we speak again soon. Thank you for your
Thank
time
you.
today.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.